Watch how this pilot saved the plane and the lives of all the passengers.
When both engines of Air Canada Flight 143 shut down, the ram air turbine kicks in, powering vital instruments and communication gear. The captain sends out an emergency distress call, asking to be guided to the nearest airport for an emergency landing. No sooner has he spoken than Flight 143 vanishes from radar. With the power loss, the transponder also goes down. Without air traffic control's navigation, the plane would be like a headless chicken, blindly flailing in the sky until it crashes. At this critical moment, the value of having a strong team is evident. The experienced air traffic controller quickly brings in primary radar, manually calculating the plane's exact location. They soon trace Flight 143, informing the crew they're 65 kilometers from the airport, 45 kilometers from another Air Force base with a long runway, and the co-pilot, who's served in the military, is familiar with the area. He thinks it's a good option, but the controller informs the crew that the Air Force base has no rescue facilities, so the captain decides to glide to the airport for an emergency landing. With both engines off, the cabin falls into silence. Every second in the air is agony for passengers. Some even start writing their wills. At this point, the plane's altitude drops to 2,600 meters, just 35 kilometers from the airport. The captain can even see the runway, but the co-pilot, after calculating, delivers bad news. They can only glide 20 kilometers, making it impossible to reach the airport. The captain quickly asks the controller how far they are from the Air Force base, 12 kilometers away. He decides to make a last-ditch effort there. This decision will change everyone's fate, and the maintenance engineer returns to the cabin to be with his family, perhaps their last moments alive. Everyone fastens their seatbelts, quietly waiting for the final landing. But in the cockpit, troubles start piling up. Due to hydraulic failure, the co-pilot opts for gravity drop, allowing the landing gear to fall and lock by its own weight. But the nose gear is too light to lock, meaning they'll have to land on the belly of the plane. As they approach within 5 kilometers of the airport, though the runway is in sight, the co-pilot realizes they're too high. If they continue descending at this speed, they'll overshoot the airport and crash. If they try to force a descent, the plane's speed will be too high to stop on the short runway. Normally, they could use circling to slow down, but at only 900 meters from the ground, there's not enough altitude for a big turn. It's almost an unsolvable situation. In desperation, the captain quickly thinks of using a sideslip to reduce speed. The technique involves manipulating the rudder, elevator, and wingtips to create drag, controlling both altitude and speed before making a turn near the runway. This maneuver is extremely risky, rarely used even on gliders, yet now they're trying it on this large airliner. Incredibly, with years of glider flying experience, the captain successfully executes this unusual sideslip, but the bank angle grows steeper, reaching 60 degrees. Passengers, looking out the window in terror, see the ground is close, making them think the plane will crash. At the same time, the captain is under immense pressure. He must delicately maintain a critical balance, slowing the plane without losing lift. Otherwise, there's a risk of stalling. As they descend, they finally reach the runway threshold, but at this crucial moment, there's a twist. The once abandoned airport has turned into a racetrack, attracting many spectators and campers, even 2 kids playing on the runway. They're completely unaware of the approaching plane. With no engine noise, the Boeing 767 is almost silent until touchdown, lacking a horn, but the captain has no choice. He quickly corrects the plane's path, pulling off a stylish dragon tail wag.